Hi, I'm Crash with Ganja Goddess, and I'm here with Jacob, our purchasing manager, who I'm always bugging for all sorts of questions and just picking his brain because he knows so much. And today we're going to be talking about one-in-ones, CBD and THC. What's the difference between THC on its own and CBD?
So THC is probably the most obvious thing is it's psychoactive. It's going to get you high. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel euphoric. You're going to feel maybe tired. You might get the munchies, the typical weed high.
Yeah. What is CBD?
So CBD is also a cannabinoid found in cannabis. CBD is a more therapeutic effect on the human body. Both are going to go through the endocannabinoid system. There's these things in your brain called CB1 receptors. There's actually two, CB1 and CB2 receptors. THC is able to go through these and interact with these CB1 receptors and get into what's called the endocannabinoid system in your body. And that is basically how THC gets that psychoactive effect, that CB1 receptor being able to get and pass through the blood-brain barrier and get to the rest of your body. CBD,
that's how your brain is like, we are all high now.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then CBD, on the other hand, it reacts very little or not at all with that CB1 receptor, which is why you don't really get that euphoric high feeling. Mm-hmm. You might not get the munchies and all these other things that you will get when you get high with THC. Cannabinoids in general are really cool because you can mess with the ratio of how much is in what you're consuming. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you wanted to get high but you don't want to get too high, or you don't want to get the munchies, or you get really paranoid when you smoke just THC, you can play around with the ratio of CBD and THC, which will then affect how that THC is going to affect you. So for example, if you get very paranoid when you smoke THC, you can do a high concentration dosage of CBD with that THC, and then that will kind of curb your THC effects so it won't be as intense, you won't feel as paranoid, you won't really get the munchies as much. On the other hand, if you like THC, you smoke a lot of THC, and you feel like when you smoke THC, you don't really get that high for that long. Mm. You can use CBD in this instance to then draw out your THC high. So if you do a small amount of CBD with a large amount of THC, that's actually going to it might curb the peak just a little bit, so it's not as intense, but that high is going to be way longer. It's going to be drawn out.
Why would you want a THC and CBD in a product?
You want to play around with both. There's this thing called the entourage effect. And the entourage effect is basically, if you have THC just on its own, you're going to be limited in what kind of any potential beneficial effects in that is going to be limited to what just THC can do. But if you're doing something that is THC and CBD together, the THC is going to help the CBD help interact with that CB1 receptors because the THC can, and then the CBD on the other hand is going to help curb certain things that the THC would do if it didn't have that CBD with it. The consumption method that you choose is going to highly determine how long the effects are going to affect you, how long it's going to take for the effects to kick in, all that fun stuff. For example, tinctures are usually the faster acting any way you can consume cannabis, because when you're taking a tincture, it's typically going into your bloodstream through your gum line, and that is very quick. It's right there. If you're eating, an edible, your body has to digest that. And the other thing that when you're eating edibles is it's a very different. Your body has to basically turn the THC in your edible into a different form of THC to where your liver can then break it down, and then you actually get high. For capsules and everything, it's very similar to edibles. It's going to have to be broken down, digested into the body for it to kick in. Vaporizing is probably very similar to consuming flour.
Okay.
In the sense of how that's going to affect you in the onset and how long that's going to last and all that fun stuff.
Well, thank you so much to our Ganja Goddess weed wizard here, Jacob. Hope you all learned something today. If you have any questions about CBD or have any suggestions for our next video, drop a comment below.